Hello, my name's James. I run a digital consultancy making beautiful software, and we've got a real focus on AI and IoT. So this is Off Script, a podcast where me and Josh share unfiltered conversations on building, leading, and learning in today's tech world. No bullshit, just wanting to talk from people doing the work.
And hey, I'm Josh, CTO at edtech company Genio and a software consultant of almost 20 years. So today we're going to talk about pen and paper in the age of tech. And this is something that you wanted to sort of talk about, James.
It is. So I think pen and paper are super important. I've got my nice Parallax branded moleskin here. I think for me, it's so important to not be looking at a screen all the time and just being able to focus on what I'm thinking or what the other person is saying. If I'm in a meeting, I can kind of be taking notes, scribbling some ideas down and paying attention to them as well. I think it is super important for me at least, but I know that you struggle maybe to sort of write as quickly as you're thinking, and that sort of hinders note taking for you, does it?
Yeah, I really am into note taking. Obviously, through Genio, we run a note taking sort of product. So very into the whole concept of note taking and how you can do structured notes. But yeah, I found I love the feeling of pen and paper, probably like your beautiful moleskin there. But I really struggled to just sort of write things down quickly enough, or at least like capture my thoughts properly. And I know there's loads of different methods you can use. Like I know some people who like divvy the page into two and have like an actions and a notes side. And is there a particular way that you organise your notes on that page, or?
It's pretty scattered. It starts out really neat, and then as the meeting progresses, it gets more and more erratic, and there's more boxes around things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think because I've got to do it in a kind of two pass sort of sense. I need to do the notes in the moment and then go back to actually fill in the detail when I'm typing them up. And it gives you that extra opportunity to go back and sort of reflect on those conversations in a way that you wouldn't necessarily get if you had a transcript. Because I think for me personally, if I'm just presented with a transcript, the chances of me reading that back in detail are pretty low because I'm fairly lazy in that sense. I do just want to get stuff done. So
Yeah.
I think any trick that I can do to make myself rethink about something, and one of those is somebody's saying, "Oh, can you share your notes from the meeting?" And I go, "Yeah, right. I've got all these scribbles here. What was I actually thinking about?" And that act of rewriting it is almost it's another stage of thinking for me.
There's a sort of there's a huge part of like that process that supports like comprehension and retention as well, and it's very different to if you were just going to churn out, text on a keyboard or something. I think there's a very obviously physical process that sort of embeds that memory, and I like to liken it to I quite like collecting vinyl, and when I buy a piece of vinyl, I sort of remember where I bought it from and how it felt at the time and what the song was. And I feel like the sort of process of taking notes in that, there's loads of different techniques for memory, right? Like the memory palace and everything in terms of memory things. But I do think it's a really important skill.
Yeah, that collection thing's interesting because, yeah, dragging a song into a Spotify playlist is very different to going to a record shop, unwrapping it, putting it on. Like, it's a whole different experience. And I don't think the human brain is quite wired in a way where you can remember things that have happened on a computer. Even though I'm on a computer pretty much all my waking hours that aren't
Yeah.
like eating or drinking or being out. I think you'd expect your dreams to contain a lot more phones and computers than they do. I don't really remember dreaming about things that are on a screen. So how is that embedding into your memory? Probably not as well as you'd hoped.
Yeah, I guess there are just a bunch of very similar events, right? I think that we're sort of over stimulated by everything that happens on screen. As you said, like I don't really get on that well with physical notebooks anymore, but I do still try and use like digital tools to capture things in a sort of sensible way. I also know there's these sort of hybrid devices like Remarkable and I guess some of the iPad apps that allow you to sort of get that feeling of pen to paper, but you have all the benefits of digital as well.
Remarkable looks great. I've had that recommended to me a few times, but I've never never bitten the bullet and gone for it. But I think, they're going to have to pry my moleskin out of my dead hands, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess the one thing that I like about scrolling notes is you can do little diagrams quite quickly as well. And if you're moving from typing to like clicking with a mouse to draw things, that switch over is quite clunky, whereas on paper it's pretty natural. It's just like,
Yeah.
and I've seen people doing that on their iPads and stuff as well. It feels a bit more natural, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Carl, our CFO at Genio, he writes, like, he draws stuff all the time. It's like his way of hearing what's being said and him sort of trying to visualize what that is, and like they're completely throwaway. I don't know if he really keeps them past the meeting, but I think it's just his way of sort of understanding what's going on and trying to sort of like mentally map it out. And I think as well, it's certainly for neurodivergent sort of people, I know that it's a hugely beneficial technique for ADHD, for example, that allows you to focus. So like, little drawings or just trying to occupy your mind through fidget toys or anything like that is a really helpful thing to focus.
Yeah. It's a way of focusing on what's happening in the room without having to like just continuously directly look at someone, which can be pretty awkward for some personality types. And it's just a bit weird in general, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
You just naturally you want to glance away and do something else every now and then, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I recommend not doing a workshop just solely staring at someone for the entire hour. It's quite intense.
I'll stick the AI note taker on and just look directly.
Let me just lock into you right now.
Yeah. There's a late night kitchen sort of effect there, isn't there? But I think I think there's a lot of studies around this as well. Like just the fact that you're kind of translating it into different words helps with the sort of encoding effect, it's called. So you've taken, your brain's taken the time to try and shorten it so you can write it down quickly. But that, in the act of doing that, it's remembered it better.
Yeah.
Whereas if typing, there might be a chance that you could type as quickly as they're talking for a short period and you're almost just transcribing them. And I feel like you should never just be transcribing. You should let AI or the Genio product or whatever do that. You should be making your own thoughts and the notes if you've got an AI transcription alongside.
Yeah.
There's a few products that help do that help combine transcription and your own notes together. But yeah, I think that's the future of it, really. Yeah,
I mean, what do you think? Because when it comes to redrafting those notes into like a more permanent artifact, I guess, what do you? Because I know, what was that tool that you used to use where it would delete everything if you stopped typing? That flow state one.
Flow state, yeah, I love that app. Most people are horrified when I explain
it's absolutely terrifying.
But yeah, I still use that daily for journaling and stuff. But yeah, you set a timer for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, whatever you want. And yeah, if you ever stop typing in that moment, it starts to fade away, and you get a quick second to sort of like jump back in. But if you miss it, it deletes everything, which is absolutely terrifying. But I think for the way that my brain's wired, it just helps get everything out, because what it does is it stops you editing, going back and filtering. Find is a real problem for me in note-taking apps on the computer is you can change the formatting, you can add headers in. Like the more minimalistic it is, the better, because I don't want any distractions from just getting my thoughts out my brain onto something. And I think Obsidian's good for that because it's pretty minimalist sort of markdown style editing, isn't it? But if you can, if you've got like Google Docs and you're like, well, maybe that paragraph's too long and I need to move it under that heading and stuff, and immediately you're not doing the work anymore. You're just faffing about with it.
I mean, all the formatting tools and everything are great for procrastination. They're just really good for avoiding the task at hand. I think that the really important point you raise is that the capture phase of note taking is very different to the sort of final edit of that. And I think how you sort of revise and refine those notes into something that like helps is a helpful sort of reference for the future are very different skills. And yeah, I like in Obsidian, I have like a working memory doc basically that's like, right, I've got a bunch of meetings and I sort of want to focus on the meetings, but also capture some of the key things. And I want to sort of start to organize, but not like go too overboard because I want to come back to it and do that properly. But I have like a triage list where there's a bunch of just thoughts that I've got, which I'm not sure what I need to do with, but they're important enough to make a note of. And then there's like a decisions part of that where I'm like, oh, this feels like something that we're going to need to decide on or act on. And then there's just a bunch of unstructured notes, and then I come back to it and figure out, right, well, is that still important within the, now I've slept on it, is that still something that I need to sort of act on, or is it not as much of a problem as I felt at the time? And yeah, I think
Yeah.
that structure is really important.
Yeah. I think, the shifting priorities and what you think is important does dramatically change, because you might end up having another thought where you think, oh, well, that's not actually a problem because of this. And yeah, that going back and checking what is important, what isn't, is super important. I think what I'm seeing at the moment is, because of AI note taking, I'm seeing a lot of AI gen summaries, which contain a lot of crap that you would never write if you actually wrote it out yourself. So I think these tools could get a lot better at allowing people to pick the important parts, because some people think that more is better, and I disagree with that. People are quite time poor, so if I'm sending people my notes and I've got enough time to do it, I would like to make it as short as possible.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, it's a skill to do concise note taking, right? And I think there's one of the challenges with a lot of the sort of AI note taking tools and AI like text generation is that they're really verbose, and they create a lot of prose very quickly, and it feels productive. You're like, oh great, I've got a page of notes. This is really good. And it's like, well, but what's it saying? And I think that sort of concise, clear note taking is really important. I also think as well, note taking in this context is really good. I think it's really good, particularly in leadership roles, because you'll often be in a situation where either someone's really worried or like passionate about something, and like it'll feel like it's the most important thing in the world. There's like a bug that's going on in production, and it feels like it's like the end of the world, or we've got to react to a situation. And sometimes that is the case, of course, but it's also good to sort of revisit the notes and go, within the context of everything else going on around us, is that still the biggest thing on fire, and do we still feel the same way? It's like a good way to reflect.
yeah, definitely. When things feel urgent, they also feel important, but they're not the same thing, are they? And you've got to remember about the important things that aren't urgent, because if you don't have that right balance in the day, um, that's when often staff members or people on a project can feel overwhelmed or burnt out, is that they're focusing on urgent things all the time, urgent in inverted commas, and they're missing some important things that
Mm,
that you need to chip away at. It could be like maybe some roadmap planning stuff. Maybe there's a far future risk that you're sort of playing on your mind. But there's like lots. Your brain's not very good at holding lots of things at once. So if there's lots of little niggles going on and they're not written somewhere, your brain's just going to spend energy hopping around them all, and
mm,
until you've done something with it. And people don't know that that's what they're feeling, because they're too focused on the urgent things.
mm,
Get people to step back, just write, well, what is it you're worried about? What is it you're thinking about? And then it might just be bubbling under the surface. Maybe they're not fully aware to like
mm.
say it out loud initially, but then unpick it a bit, get it get it written down, get it in my favorite risk register. I'm gonna go got to crowbar that in there. I think there's a BS bingo sort of thing there, but yeah, I think it is important, and I think a lot of people don't write enough, um,
Mm,
or they do write it, but it's just yeah, urgent messages in Slack, and you're just firefighting all the time. Just take a step back and get a piece of paper out and just scroll your thoughts down, and you'll feel a lot better, I think.
yeah, that's why I like David Allen's Getting Things Done. the whole concept of the inbox is a way of offloading that mental load and like coming back to it later on is the most powerful thing I've learned really, because it's like your head is very noisy and busy, and like just knowing that you've put it somewhere to come back to, especially when like sometimes if you can't sleep and like you've just got a really busy mind, you can just be like, put all that in there, and that's tomorrow morning's problem.
Yeah, I've captured that, and it's
Yeah.
here. That'll be there tomorrow, and it'll be there
Mm.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I think that was a really good chat. And yeah, I hope you've learned a few things. And we'll put some links to some of the tools that we mentioned in the show notes. And yeah, I hope you can hit subscribe, find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts. See you next time.
Cheers. See ya.